The Republican and Democratic parties are political Siamese twins. They look alike, talk alike, and act alike. And above all, both uphold and defend the capitalist system. The two-party system is a swindle. It offers the American people no real alternative at the ballot box. Only the Socialist Labor Party has a real and meaningful alternative, which we will soon explain. To make the swindle all the more deadly, the two major parties stand for the very things that obstruct and frustrate the hopes and aspirations of the great majority of the people who perform the useful labor of society, the working class. Most people yearn for economic security with freedom in a sane and peaceful world. But the two major parties, being defenders of capitalist interests, are in fact the political agents of a minority of the people, the capitalist class, an idle, privileged class that owns and controls the nation's industries, systems of transportation, communication, and so forth. In charge of the political government, federal, state, and local, the major party politicians function primarily to preserve and safeguard the property and institutions that enable the owning class to enjoy the lion's share of labor's product. It is the capitalists who foot the campaign expenses of major party candidates and pay the piper, and the capitalists call the tune. Most of the legislation that Congress and other legislative bodies grind out is of no interest to workers, to people whose income comes from wages. It is legislation that benefits this or that body of capitalists, or possibly the capitalists as a whole. True, there are times when Congress enacts a social reform, some measure that is supposed to ease the lot of the workers. But it does this, invariably to the accompaniment of loud self-praise, primarily to appease the workers, to divert them from radical thoughts and revolutionary ideas.
A moment ago I asked you what kind of a world you want. Now let me tell you what kind of a world you could have if you and the rest of the working class awoke to the revolutionary implications of the present crisis, repudiated the capitalist politicians, and got behind the program of the Socialist Labor Party. First of all, socialism means a world of economic security and plenty for all. This will follow because under socialism, all the means of production and distribution will be owned socially by all the people. Production will be carried on solely to satisfy human needs, not for sale and private profit as is the case today. The economy, therefore, will be freed from its dependence on a capitalist market, and depressions and unemployment will be forever eliminated. Instead of kicking workers out of their jobs, new machines and new techniques will kick hours out of our working days. And since there will be no parasitic ruling class to ride in luxurious idleness on the workers' backs, everyone who performs useful work will receive the full social value of his labor. Socialism will mean peace, too. Not just a period of nervous truce between wars, but blessed lasting peace. Disarmament under capitalism is a delusion, because no nation will demobilize its armies while the underlying economic cause of war remains. But socialism will put an end to capitalist exploitation, and therefore end the capitalist economic rivalry that leads to war. Socialism will create a sound cooperative economic foundation for real, lasting peace. Finally, socialism will mean freedom. Many people are being frightened away from the liberating principles of socialism by the lying claim that socialism exists in Russia. But as the Socialist Labor Party pointed out years ago, the masters of the Russian state have, in the name of Karl Marx, betrayed everything that Marx stood for, everything that true socialism stands for. They have used socialistic phrases to disguise a bureaucratic despotism that is in every sense the direct opposite of socialism. Socialism, Marxian socialism, as applied and developed by the great American socialist Daniel DeLeon, means a society in which the industries are managed democratically by the workers themselves through socialist industrial union councils. It means the abolition of the bureaucratic political state and the setting up of a government based directly on industry. The industrial union government advocated by the Socialist Labor Party is the only kind of government that can guarantee democracy and freedom in this industrial age. It is the only kind of government that can guarantee to the rank and file of the workers a democratic control over their tools and their products.
Now, note this. Instead of a Congress of politicians who talk, and who scheme endlessly in the interest of the ruling capitalist class, we will have an industrial Congress representing the useful occupations of the land. And this will be a useful, functioning Congress. Its duties will be those of administering overall production. It will be to industry what the orchestra leader is to the orchestra. That is, it will be an integral part of production. It will decide such questions as how much is producible, how much is needed, how many tons of coal, how many millions of pairs of shoes, how many television sets, and so forth. Now, perhaps we'll make mistakes. Perhaps we'll elect the wrong people. Well, if we do, we'll recall them and elect someone else. You see, when you have a society in which the workers have collective control of things, mistakes like this can be corrected, and no great harm is done. And that is what socialism is. A system in which democracy is a living, vibrant reality. Now the question is, how do we get it? The twofold tactics for building socialism in America are, one, the socialist ballot, two, backed up by a real working class union, a socialist industrial union. The ballot is the peaceful and the civilized method. And our right to reconstruct society any way we wish is the fundamental law of the land. It's embodied in Article 5 of the Constitution. The socialist industrial union of all the workers is necessary to back up the right of the ballot and to have the power and give us the power and means with which to take possession and hold and operate the industries in the interest of all the people.
The equal time provision under which these and other SLP candidates made radio and television appearances provided that broadcasters who got free use of the public airways for their private profit were to provide equal opportunities for all candidates for the same office who had qualified for a place on the ballot.